We're not recording yet, so.
Okay.
All right. Um, but we're gonna be recorded in the site. So whenever you're ready to roll, we can do this.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
What is up, everybody? You know who it is. It's your allies behind enemy lines on this beautiful Friday, July 16th. Coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines, Ryan and Joey. I'm here holding it down in Dallas. Joey's holding it down in Austin. Brocking for all of our allies and all our Washington football fans here in Texas behind Cowboy territory. If you're new to the place, where you been? If you are new, we are live here on YouTube as well as Facebook. If you're on our YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so as soon as we go live or drop the latest and greatest heat of a recorded video, you are notified. A little ding on your phone, little ding on your laptop or desktop saying, hey, you got some heat waiting for you. Why don't you go and come over here and watch it? Check us out on Twitter at AlliesBEL. If you go to our Twitter, we got a little link there in our bio. You can find us anywhere you find your podcasts, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, all by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines. And if you do, make sure you subscribe, download, rate, review, all that good stuff. Spread the love a little bit, maybe tell your friends, tell your family. And again, like I said, you can find us on Facebook here by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines podcast, where we post all of our videos, where we do go live. And we also have the link for our t-shirt there as well. We also have the link at our Twitter bio. You say, Ryan, what t-shirt? What is this t-shirt you talk about? I'm talking about this t-shirt right here. The official Allies Behind Enemy Lines podcast t-shirt, a Washington football team podcast featuring our hashtag we all need allies, because let's face it, we do all need allies. Look at Joey. Look at Joey. I kind of lost mine for like a couple weeks. I'll be honest with you. And the reason for it, it's my own fault. Like every I don't know, like 6 or 8 weeks, I had to just like empty my drawers and then reorganize them, because I'll just like,
I'm the
after you
same.
do laundry.
It turns the same thing to me. Mine just turns crazy. It just gets into a mass of craziness. It's like the back of girls' hair when they just sleep on it, just like a frizzy drawer.
I mean, after you do laundry, after you fold it, after you sort it, like I just kind of pick it up and throw it in my drawers, and so it kind of got shoved to the bottom into the back of one of my big drawers. I found it, so now we're rocking it again, and here it is. If you do like it, go ahead and buy one. Make sure you keep it right on the top of your drawer so you don't lose it. You can rock it, especially coming up this football season. Joey, like I said, it's a beautiful Friday. Weather's not too bad here in Dallas. It's about 80 degrees, which is a lot cooler than it has been. How you doing down there in Austin?
We're doing good. It's like I said, it's been nice days. A little cloudy, overcast has probably been the same out there. The sun does rear its beautiful face sometimes around noon for a little while, so I was able to get some heat, get outside and get some sun a little bit. But it's been nice down here. Just looking forward to a great weekend. I mean, it's been a good week.
Yeah, I am definitely ready for the weekend. I don't know why. Like this is like the first time in like a few weeks that I'm like, thank God it's Friday. Like I'm just ready for it. I don't know
This
why.
is why TGIF, the first person that had ever said it, and it just that's why it became a thing, because so many people felt that way so many times.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So we got a couple things on the docket for you today. First off, we want to talk about some of the news that is regarding the team name. Obviously we're rocking the Washington football team right now, have been since we dropped the R words name and got rid of that, the Redskins. There was some talk about obviously what fans would like. I think the top two choices are the Red Wolves and the Warriors. I fell on the side of the Warriors. You fall on the side of the Red Wolves. Well, they came out today, not today, this week, which we kind of already knew. So I don't know why this was like such a big announcement, that they were going to stay away from any names that had any kind of anything that had to do with some kind of Native American or indigenous people. They wanted to stay away from any imagery. So like I said, the throwback uniforms that we've used with the spears on them before, those go out the window, which again, those are probably my favorite uniforms that we've ever had. And along with it goes the name of the Warriors. And so now they have a new, now they're going towards a new direction. They said it will be released the beginning of 2022 after we finish this coming up season. And then we'll finally know what the team name is. And I'm going to read a few excerpts from what they called it, the president's brief from Jason Wright. He says, quote, "Since we made the decision to change our name, the past 9 months has given us a unique opportunity to reevaluate our organization in terms of who we are today and what path we want to take in the future." Again, it's kind of stuff that they've been saying from the jump, especially since Ron Rivera came on, especially since Jason Wright came on. A key to that determination is acknowledging and understanding our past. You could say it's a chance to, quote, watch the film on ourselves, not just through our eyes, but also through perspectives of others. It's no secret why we began the journey of finding a new brand identity. Pretty much because it sucked. That's why, and because people were offended. It's centered around our old name and its use of Native American imagery and racialized language. Though I wasn't here for rescinding of the name, I believe it was done with faith that the connective ties, of this fan base run deep, and that they deeply love traditions and positive aspects of our identity can be preserved and even enhanced under a new name that does not offend any member of our community. Quite simply, it is the right thing to do. He goes on and on. He has quite a long spiel here, and that was just kind of the opening kind of excerpts of the brief. And but he, like I said, he did go on to say that they're acknowledging that our past use of Native American imageries in the consideration of the new name wouldn't be mindful of the individuals and communities that were hurt by the previous name, which again makes sense. Although Redskins was deemed a racial slur, Warriors, I don't necessarily see that. I don't really see it as Native American imagery. If you were a warrior, I mean, if somebody says a warrior, you think of like a tough, like a soldier, like somebody going into battle. Again, I could kind of agree to disagree there. Like I get it. The first use of warrior would have been Native Americans or put back to like the Mayans, Aztecs, things like that, because they were that kind of the first people having wars. And if you're the first people having wars, who are fighting those wars? Warriors. So Warriors
come out and play, yay!
But see, and then too, we have the Golden State Warriors. They don't really catch any flack for that out in California, which again doesn't really make sense. But again, too, at the same time, that is already a team name. I'm fine with not having a duplicate name and kind of having our own identity, having our own team name. But so that was a little disappointing for me. They came out with a list of names that they could be considering. There were some strange ones like the Washington Monarchs, which I don't like. I'm pretty sure that's a WNBA team. The Washington Presidents, which is terrible. There was the Renegades, the Red Wolves. I'm on the side now. I'm on the side of the Renegades. You said that kind of reminds you of the same thing as like a Warriors.
Yeah, it definitely brings that same type of like you said, Warriors has survived with Golden State and so far and hasn't been coming under any kind of scrutiny or attack. And I think that eventually it's like yet, as they start coming after more and more teams, Chiefs, Braves, all that stuff. I think Warriors could be down that line. So it's just setting themselves up to have to do it again. I mean, this is this is a terrible process that we all did not want to go through, and now that we're in it, probably better that we did, and get a better, gives our team a better perspective, gives everybody a better perspective on what kind of culture we want to bring. But we don't know if we want to go through this again. So why would you set yourself up in that maybe, even if there's a slight chance that it can be taken the wrong way, we want to stay away from that. We've already done that once. We don't want to even get ourselves close to that boat. But and I think Renegades, I mean, if you look at the definition of Renegade, which I did, I was like, as I saw those names, or I definitely typed it in there, and it derives from, an old Latin word to mean to go against, to go against. So it would be Renegade to have, it would kind of suit what we've kind of done in the past, but if we're trying to get more with the times, I don't know even know if that's a name to suit the kind of culture we want to have. I think I don't even know if it has a positive connotation to it if you think of it in that regard whatsoever. I don't think any good renegades. Have there ever been any good renegades? I don't know. Have you ever heard a good renegade?
Maybe a guy, George Washington. Have you heard of him?
Don't even get us started there. I dissect the history of what he was and kind of person he was. So
well, just like going against, the British and things like that. So
the history is written by winners and then they're exposed. So I don't want to get into the character aspects there, but Renegades, it's negative connotation at for the times. You know, always for the times you're seeing it as a negative connotation. I mean, and I'm not gonna say it's the slightest thing. I know I'm being minuscule here, whatever word you want to use, splicing hairs. But again, do we want to even get close to being even in that group, or can we just totally remove ourselves from the situation? When I look at that list of words and I hear the comments from Jason Wright, to me that list, I don't even know if that's a final five list. It kind of can be taken out of context. But it looks like to me like if you're a test taker, you have test taking skills. Or like say those tests where they give you like one right answer and the rest like all false weird ones. You're like, oh, okay, the obvious answer is right there. And not to I don't know if you mentioned the press release they had of the name changing process, that video where the Wolves were shown several times there. Was that an Easter egg? Was that on purpose? Was that meant to be there, or is it just showing that obviously everyone knows it's been in this process. That's been a forefront. And I know a comment that Jason Wright also said in that regard was that it's not going to be to form a hashtag in that regard, or to follow a hashtag, to say that we're going to have to keep the R. So that made people think, oh, it could just possibly be the Wolves, or so that kind of rolls out Renegades too in the same regard. So, from process of elimination here, it's going to be either staying the Washington football team, which I kind of think it's not, because I think they would have kind of hinted towards that, and there would be no need to relaunch a name that you already have right now. So I think the name is definitely going to change. I don't think it's going to be Club either. I think it's going to have something to do with it. It has to be Wolves in my regard. I mean, if they're truly listening, and if they're truly paying attention to any type of fan, or ex-players, ex-analysts type, feedback, Wolves and Red Wolves has been the talk, so it's pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, see, I'd push back a little bit on that it has to be Wolves, or that it's obvious it's Wolves. I could see them kind of doing not a re-releasing, but just of kind of like a, hey, this is who we are. We're the Washington football team. This is what it's going to be. This is what we are. This is what's going to be moving forward. I could see them kind of doing something like that, but I agree. I don't think it's going to be that. And I think a lot of fans would be down for it. I know I am. I'm definitely more for staying the Washington football team than changing the name to a team name just for the sake of doing it, right? JP Finley also had a tweet earlier this week on Monday or Tuesday. He said, gotten lots of texts and tweets about the new name for Washington now that the Warriors is out. To me, the new name will definitely not include red in any way at all. Now, that's his opinion. It's not like he's heard anything one way or the other. But if that's the case, then like you said, it's going to be, it would be the Washington Wolves, not the Red Wolves. I just don't know. Look, I say this, I don't know.
You keep saying this piece. I don't know if you read it, that thing about being tied to our past, and it's not saying tied to Washington's past or the area's past, but to our team's past. And what other thing can be tied to our team's past than the word red? To me, it's like that carries something. It's just a color, but obviously we're going to maintain probably the same color scheme, but it's a little piece there. I don't know what else you could take from our past. We'd have to do some research, maybe, if there's some other kind of story that we don't know about that hasn't been revealed. I mean, again,
the Hogs,
but I think that's just if we were the Hogs, it's gonna be, it's just I kind of like the idea of not being able to be called the Foreskins and the Hogs and all that crap anymore, because it's gone. So kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's a brief area of our history. You know what I mean? It's obviously our most successful, that's all where all our championships were, but I just couldn't see us being the Hogs. It's just too plain. It's just too plain to me. It's not spicy. If it's like the spicy tomato Hogs or something, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like more adjectives, I guess, for the Hogs. I could see that.
The Red Hogs.
The Red Hogs. Definitely, we're not involved the word red. JP Finley. If it's the Red Hogs, it's the Red Wolves.
The Washington Fun Bunch.
The Washington Fun Bunch. Yeah. The Washington Monks. The Washington.
Oh, I like it.
Who knows? I mean, the tying to the past piece. When you include that, to me, it's like it has to. What else could it be? For someone who tries to pride themselves on knowing a lot about this team and this organization and the history behind it, there's not a lot that leans it towards anything specifically. The Hogs obviously is the only thing, that besides the word red to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, and even before Redskins, I believe they were the Braves, or
Yeah,
something like that, the Boston Braves or something like that. So,
yeah.
and obviously that's not going to be, that's not going to be it. They did say we are keeping the color scheme for sure. The
Hmm.
burgundy and gold isn't going anywhere, which they said, Jason Wright said, I feel like is very, very important to make sure that the fans still feel connected to this team even after the name change, even after everything. But so that was, kind of the big news for the week. Again, I'm down for Washington football team. I'm down to keep it around. I think it's great. I've kind of come around on it for sure. But I the name is gonna really have to knock my socks off. I think I don't know
You don't
why,
know if
because
Wolves or Red Wolves don't knock your socks off?
look, so that's what I was gonna say. I'm glad you brought that up. So Wolves or Red Wolves, it could, but I think the first time when it would hit me, I'd have to be at a game in Washington, and everyone kind of be encapsulated in the culture of the Washington fans, the Washington Wolves, Washington Red Wolves, whoever they are. And then once the howls start going, then your boys probably locked in. Because like I said, Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes, whatever you want to call them. When I lived in Arizona, we'd go to the playoff games and everyone start howling. It was electric and it's fun, and especially after a score. It's a lot of fun, but so I think I would have to see that happen first and be a part of that first before I really like grabbed on.
Well, I mean, I think you're going to see that. I mean, I think you're going to even see that it's going to be captured through the TV. I mean, you think about these. I mean, this team, this fan base is more primed and ready to lose their shit, quote unquote, more than any fan base I can think of right now, because they have been, we are suppressed for so long. We have this new big, apart from other teams, obviously everybody has their own story going on, but no organization is going through what we're going through, or nor has, and then not to couple that with all
A
the,
lot of it you could argue is self-inflicted.
well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The name thing is the biggest thing I'm talking about here. No one's gone through this whole rebranding process, but couple that with the expectations of this young defense and the excitement we have from them coming off a division win, and these weapons we added on offense. This crowd is ready to cheer and rally around something. Now, whatever that thing is, you know what I mean? I can see it being a Wolf. You hear the first game of the year, it's gonna come through that TV. It's gonna be that whole off season. Before you even get a chance to see a game. They're gonna announce it right after the season, which I think is great because it doesn't take the focus off the season at all. But I think by the time we're right here next year, whatever the name is, we're gonna be sold on it, or not. Obviously, it could be a wah wah wah. But if it's Wolves or Red Wolves, by this point, I don't think we're gonna be having to say, well, I'll have to wait towards the game.
Yeah, see, it could go one of two ways. It could go the way of the Tennessee Titans. Obviously when they went from the Oilers to the Titans, that was seamless transition. It worked out for them. Or it could go the way of the Charlotte Bobcats or the New Orleans Pelicans, where those two teams were kind of very underwhelming. Charlotte ultimately changed their name back to the Hornets, making New Orleans have to change their name to the Pelicans. So it could go. Those are the two that I look at. Throw the Texans in there. I think the Houston Texans works great for them when they became an expansion team. But as far as just looking at a rebrand, I think you look at Tennessee and you look at the Pelicans. The Ravens, yeah, that's another great one. That they, when they went from
but it was
the
never
Browns.
it was never out of like such necessity as ours was. It was just because of this ain't working. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably why you're right that it took so long, and then people are like, well, man, it took the XFL 1 month to come up with 12 names. What's taking what's taking them so long to come up with? Well, it's not that. It's that you don't want to go out there and push something like the Bobcats or the Pelicans, and then be like, oh, here we go. We got to change these back now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, you got one shot at this. You got one shot. And if it falls flat on its face, well, then, hey, that's what's going to happen. And it sucks, but that's what you're going to have to live with. But you can't. And see, and that's the other part of me that thinks that Washington football team and sticking with that is the move, because the only people that make fun of the Washington football team aren't fans. They're like, oh, you're the football team without a team name.
It's
no, we have a team name. Yeah, it's the only thing. Like, we are the football team. We don't need no pansy-ass mascot. We're just a football team. We come to town. You know what we're getting. You're getting a football team. That, like I said, that's the only thing people can say when they're not watching football.
It's like you never heard anybody say, like, they're never connected to the freaking mascot. They're connected to the town and to the city. Of any team. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see Michael Irvin, and I guess obviously in the spots, just like, oh, the cowboy, and the cowboy, all wearing cowboy gear outside of work, and it's just Dallas, the city of the star for them. It's a symbol, and it's other than that, I don't even think there's one that people that care that much about the actual symbol or mascot other than the town. I mean, what? Give me one. The name of it is like the Bears. It's like, do they really care about Bears? No, it's just the name of the team. It's Chicago. It's the Windy City. It's that stuff. The Eagles. Oh, we love the birds. The Falcons. It's Dolphins. Oh, we love the water. It's none of that. They're not a huge. It's just we've become accepted to these names. It's not so the mascot in that sense is not that big of a deal and not to be scrutinized as such. It's just going to end up being a name. We're gonna. We love Washington, and like I said in that tweet, or we said in that tweet. Only name we care about changing to is Super Bowl champions.
I know that's right. Yeah, and that starts here. That's the other thing too. I mean, again, if you win the Super Bowl this year, not saying we will, not saying we'll get anywhere near it, you got to keep the name. You got to keep the name Washington Football Team. Whatever plans they have, scrap them, throw them out. You're the Washington.
And that's why I think there's not even. It's not like I don't think they have a name right now and they're ready. I think they might have, the beginning, because think about it, you can print anything in a day nowadays. You can have files, you can have five names right now with all the files, logos, and everything already printed up, ready to launch at any second. And just kind of putting feelers out there with these little reports, these leaked reports and whatnot, and see how the fans react and how the media reacts and how the consensus of the culture takes these things pushing out there. And that's why it makes me think there'll definitely be a breaking point. There'll probably be like December somewhere in there that they're like, all right, we gotta make a decision. All right, so what's been the top one that's not gonna piss people off and get our fans excited? Oh, it's still Wolves. All right, let's go Wolves. Hey, Washington Football Team has come away. People are really rallying around it by this season. Maybe we should just keep that in. All right, well, we can do that too. So I think that it's still not a decided thing, and so I'm sure that feedback is definitely going to be appreciated and continue.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. Totally agree. I had one other thing for today that's a little bit more on the fun side, a little more hypothetical for you. We could discuss it a little bit. Before we do that, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about other than the name thing?
No, I mean, there wasn't much, to talk about this week at all. I mean, that's probably why the name thing, again, is garnering so much attention because it's like, oh, what else are we going to debate and argue and hypothesize about? Just looking at the Washington website earlier, I'm like, well, what are they talking about? They're talking about nothing. They're talking about nothing. They're talking about ticket sales and whatnot. But so it's a dry time. We're waiting for training camp.
Yeah. So I got a hypothetical here of, I don't even know the way to phrase this, of what you think you are most likely or able to do. Now, you've always said, if you get put on the field, what are you doing? You personally, Joe, what have you always said?
Like what? At what position?
No. You're. There's. It doesn't matter what position. There's one thing you're gonna do.
Attack? Go? Kill? I don't know.
You always say, if I'm gonna make one play.
Oh yeah, exactly.
One play.
One play. It's it exactly. Yeah, it's like just give me that one chance because you're not gonna get another one. So I'll go full force at that motherfucker and be done. It's like. And it'd be laid out like I forgot what movie that was, but the guy just like, I'm done, just roll me off the kill. I'm happy now. That's all I needed. It's kind of like my wrestling career. I've always said all I ever wanted was one match, and I got it. I got it in front of 3,000 people, and I took 2 moonsaults, from 2 people off the top rope, and I got to sell. I got thrown out of the ring in a battle royal. Hey, I did it one time, but yes, you can garner it. But yes, I definitely would get out there and give it all. Just whatever position it is, just give it to me and point me in a direction. I'm going to give it everything I have, or point me at the quarterback.
100%. So that's why I wanted to bring this up because that's what you've always said. You might be taking me out on a stretcher, but guess what? I made that one play.
Exactly.
So the Washington Football Team social, they put this thing on Twitter, and what it was they said the last digit of your like is your assignment, meaning what you have to do. So I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but what do you think that you are most able to do or most likely to do? Block Chase Young one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Cover Terry McLaurin man-to-man.
Mm-hmm.
get past Brandon Scherf, tackle Antonio Gibson in the open field, or get open to catch a pass against Kendall Fuller.
Brandon Scherf.
See, that's what I said too. That's what I said too. And that's not a knock against Brandon Scherf, but I mean, the strength that guy has too. I mean, that any offensive lineman has is unreal. But like, if you're saying the most likely, like, I may take 1,000 snaps and get past Brandon Scherf once, but that's what I mean by that. But I'm not blocking Chase Young. You give me 1,000 snaps, he's getting to the quarterback every single time. Terry McLaurin, I can't even cover dudes in my flag football league.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If you say Terry McLaurin and you're not have played at a pro level, you don't know what it's like. I remember trying to cover a guy that would play like JUCO or something, and it's like they've done 4 moves before you even know it's going on, and then caught the ball. You know, before you even know it's like. So you ain't covering nobody in the NFL.
100%. 100. Even, I mean, anybody on the practice squad. Like, yeah,
exactly.
Like you said.
You ain't in college either. Maybe probably high school nowadays too, at our age.
And tackling Antonio Gibson in the open field. Like, if you give him, like, I don't know, what do you think? Like 10 yards, and he just has to run right at you, and then he can make a move if he wants. No chance I'm taking him down. The only other option I thought about was getting open against Kendall Fuller, and not because I'm fast or not because I'm shifty, but just because, like I said, you give me 1,000 snaps, maybe I get lucky once and, you know, kind of break away or get lost in his, you know, blind spot and just happen to get lucky or something.
But you're talking, they're not talking zone. I'm sure they're talking press.
Man-to-man.
He's not going to let you get off the line. You know what I mean? He's not someone like that with knowing our inexperience. I mean, if he's playing us like not knowing us, who we are, our abilities, maybe he'll give us a little bit of respect. But if he knows we're just some ham and egger off the street that's going to pros versus Joes, he's going to check our ass and throw us on the ground and make us look dumb. You know, so
Exactly.
So I think it's almost by default. I'm not even sure I can get. I'm not saying I'm going to get my Brandon Scherf. Yes, I am. It's like that's the one I have to probably give me 100 tries. I might do it once.
100. Give me 1,000 and I might do it once. I don't even know if 100's enough. But yeah, so that's funny. That was the same one I thought too. And because by turn like 567, I'm trying everything. You know, I'm like sliding headfirst between his legs or something, or I don't know what, but that's funny. That was the only one that I thought.
I've seen Brandon Scherf fall asleep before. I mean, weird people have gotten by him before. So I think that, you know, and in my days, I did play defensive end, so I was a pass rusher. You know, probably that was my best on the field position, obviously, other than abilities. But it was because of my squeakiness to be able to squeak by bigger guys like that. And so it's just, that would be it. He'd either fart, burp, or something. It'd be just a little bit off and on. Or you just do that thing where you sandbag the first couple times, and then the third time you just give him everything you have and knock him on his Brandon Scherf, and then you're.
You're not knocking Brandon Scherf down. You could get a 15-yard head start. I don't know if you're knocking Brandon Scherf down.
Oh, caught off guard, anyone can knock anyone down. That's all the leverage.
Yeah, but I'm talking one-on-one, like he's face up, like he's ready to pass block on you. And...
But my son has knocked me down before. My little son has knocked me down before, and it's that weird little sandbag thing where you don't know and you're off position and you underestimate, and then they're not underestimating. He's like, I'm gonna do this to my dad right now. I'm gonna give him 159 million%, and it's gonna knock me off balance enough where hey. You know, so I think that Brandon Scherf, obviously we're not going to be able to do it probably, but it's the best chance we have if it's the one I'm selecting.
100%. No, 100% agree. That one I thought was pretty funny because, like I said, I don't think I'm doing any of those. But if I had to pick, that's the one I'm probably going to do. One last story we had for this week, and I know we usually like to talk about stuff that's going on the field and between the lines. But our boy Dwayne Haskins had a little bit of a kerfuffle out in Las Vegas with his wife. Did you hear about this?
Oh boy, yes.
She gave him the Ray Rice, and she gave him the old 1-2 piece, and ended up knocking out his tooth and busting up his lip. They got into a little like I said, kerfuffle, and she wasn't having it, so she just, like I said, gave him the quick 2-piece. And she ended up getting arrested and charged with domestic violence. He got his lip busted a little bit, got his tooth knocked out. And as if they were just married in March, and so a short time being married. I thought the start to his NFL career was rough. Looks like the start to his marriage is a little bit tougher.
Talk about getting punched in the face by life, both literally and figuratively.
By your life and by your wife.
Yes. This is just. I mean, as someone who's been punched in the face a lot, I'm not going to deny I've been in a lot of fights in my life, and I've been hit really hard and to the point of being almost knocked out. I remember the time I got my tooth knocked through my mouth. It stayed in though, but it carved a hole in my mouth. You got to be hit really hard to get your tooth knocked out. I mean, that's a shot. You know what I mean? So his wife wasn't messing around, and I'm sure it wasn't with her fist. But I had probably was with something. I don't know, but I was talking to a Steeler fan, last night about it. And he's talking about Haskins. Oh, he'll get through this, and I'm like, bud, when you're the third string quarterback, or you're trying to be the second, you can't be in the media like this. I don't care if it's not you or what. You can't. Someone like, especially on a Mike Tomlin led team. It's like Josh. Does it Joshua Dobbs he's going against for that backup job, whatever. He's I was like, Dobbs is winning by default. All he's got to do is not stay out of the media. He's going to win the job by just not messing up. They even have to get on the field. But it's unfortunate when you see something like that, and it's just, it's like, at what point is like, do you stop questioning his decision making? Not to say whatever happened to lead up to that event. Who knows what happened? I power bombed my brother through a freaking dresser at in Vegas before, but it wasn't out of anger. It was out of wrestling fun and
Power bomb's gone wrong.
Power bomb's gone wrong, but yeah, I didn't get arrested for domestic violence for it either, but I probably could have. But yeah, it's just telling of his story and his. We thought he might have a chance there, but you got to keep it all off the field. Shouldn't even be. It should be par for the course. On the field is where you got to make all your differences.
My biggest thing with this story was where there's smoke, there's fire, right? I mean, You look at a guy that had a tumultuous stay with Washington. There was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, mostly downs. And then, he changes teams. A lot of times they say, maybe get a guy to change the scenery, things change. And again, you can't always help, or you can't, you don't always know what's going to happen when you're out partying, out drinking, out celebrating, whatever. But again, putting yourself in a situation like this, like you said, when you are fighting to make the team, because we forget about Mason Rudolph too. I don't know what his standing is with the team. Roethlisberger, obviously, Dobbs, Mason Rudolph, and Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins, in my opinion, is probably just fighting to stay on the team. Now, fortunately for him, he wasn't the one that was getting arrested. But still, when you find yourself being caught up in trouble like this, not saying that he was in trouble, but the situation was trouble. You got to kind of scratch your head and look at a guy like, man, is this the guy that you want around? B, a guy that's going to be able to even get a job done for you? Despite the talent that he may have or has shown in his past in college or whatever, is the decision making really even there? And what's going on between his ears? So that was kind of we always kind of keep up with guys once they leave, whether it's on good terms or bad terms. That was one thing I felt I needed to mention since he was just recently a part of this team.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I definitely was going to want to talk about that a little bit. It's unfortunate. Like I said, we never wish anybody ill will. Like we've always said, we only hope for success and the best for everybody. Obviously, except the Cowboys and teams in our division when they play us, or anybody else, I guess, in that regard. But them as people, we want them to be successful in life, and and be great people. But
we want you to be healthy, successful in life, and fail on the field when you're playing Washington.
Exactly, that's it. And I don't know if that's one might affect the other one. So I guess if you start failing on the field, you might start failing in life. But I'm sorry, you have to learn to persevere through that. I've failed a lot of things and persevered in other areas, man. So you'll have to learn the skills that I've learned. But yeah, it's a sad story there for Dwayne. It's a lot of this last week, with that, Richard Sherman and a lot of other things going on like that. It's a time of year when stuff like that starts coming out. So it's for once not involving a lot of our players. So that's a positive note. It seems like obviously I think I read a story today too that the players from our team are at 50% vaccination rate, which is awesome. So
No, that's actually the lowest. It's actually
but
the lowest.
it's raising though. It's raising.
Okay.
It's okay. So it's got to get. I think that's one of those things that once the season starts, or once they're actually there and see the people that are, it's like at school when it's like when you don't have to wear a mask and you get to go outside and play because you did the right thing. It's like I want to do that, so I'm gonna have to do this so I can do that. And I think people are gonna make the decisions based on their own. Not out there. I'm definitely saying. It's what we're doing right now. It's what you can get in there, micromanage it all you want, but as a team, with a coach, with everybody around you, make those decisions as a team. I think when it comes to you're a family. When it comes to that situation, I think you got families got to stick together. I guess I don't know everyone's individual situation or reasoning behind it, so I'm not going to knock anybody for not doing it. And I'm glad they kind of keep that quiet a little bit, but like I said, it's just get through this. It was so great these last couple Wednesday night. I got to go to the first live wrestling with a full crowd. No social distancing, right next to people in person, no masks, and being around people and just celebrating and having fun in a game. That's the kind of things you can do that the world's wanting to look forward to and move towards those types of things. I forgot how much we miss those types of things. So I think as a whole world and culture, we just got to do what we got to do to move past it, and I think this is a step in that direction.
No, agreed. Yeah, it's I totally agree with what you say. I do got to ask you about the wrestling thing though. So was that your first time being out in a giant, in a big like public gathering like that? Since
I mean, think about it. Sold out crowd at the HEB Center here in Austin. So that's thousands of people right next to you.
So what was the crowd like? Like, see, I know wrestling's a little bit different as far as the crowd. Like, they're a little bit more lax and lenient and like a little bit more like involved with the environment around them, if that makes sense. They're more entrenched in the environment around them. So what was it like as far as like the whole crowd being there?
It was like old times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was I mean there was a few people that wore masks. I was talking to my wife about it, and I'll say 1 out of 25 people. So it was the exception rather than the rule, big time.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that wasn't like they were like ooh, because they were just wearing them. I don't know if that's because it was their personal choice outside of here, so they're just wanting to stay consistent with how they are outside of the wrestling. But it wasn't like it felt like old times. It wasn't like people weren't scared to rub up next to you, or even the lines to get food and drinks and whatnot were just smashed back together. It wasn't like this 6 social. They still had the markings there, but nobody was enforcing nor even following them anymore. Which like I said, it's one of those things we're ready as a society to move on, and I think that and going there, I think that it everyone that was there that I talked to, it like reaffirmed that decision that this is what we should be doing, and we what I mean. It's all right. It's all right to let ourselves down a little bit and and be okay and not be so fearful and of each other and of the situation. So it was great. It felt great. It felt normal.
Cool. Yeah. No, the only reason I asked is because I went to a Ranger game back in May. It was Yankees Rangers, and there was just some people. I was like, do you remember what it was like to be in public, or do you just like you're just coming out here just like raw dogging it, and not just going through life like you're the only one around? Because there was quite a few times where my wife and I looked at each other, we're like, yeah, they definitely don't remember what it was like to be in public with in a huge gathering, just things like that. That's the only reason why I asked.
Oh, no, I mean, as far as unhinged and that's wrestling. It's hard to differentiate.
And that's what I said. It might be a little bit different because they're more like entrenched in the environment around them versus like a baseball game. It's a little different. Even though everyone's there to watch a game and have fun watching baseball, it's a little different. It's not as much of a I don't know, like I feel like if you're at a wrestling event, you feel like you're kind of participating a little bit more in what's going on around you than at a baseball game, right?
Yeah, I mean it's you're kind of like observant of everybody, and it's one of those things too that like I feel myself being that way, and like you were saying, I don't want to say I'm judging people, but I look at I look down at people. I don't want to say looking down as far as looking down on them. I mean like as far as like looking down at people like acting at a lower level physically than I am. Like, oh, look at that guy, and to me it's like that's not. To me, it's like, in a sense, I want to be more of that guy than the person sitting back here. Like, yeah, we have to remember to learn to let go at sometimes. And obviously not be an idiot and scream and take away from other people's fun. But you're allowed to have fun. You know what I mean? You're allowed to, the same way we are at Washington. Believe me, at Washington.
Yeah, I was about to say.
when I'm picking, like I said, I'm picking up tattooed bald people and squeezing them like they're my little brother. You know what I mean? Like I like that, and I like people to be able to unleash and have that in you, and it's great to be able to have things that unlock that in it, and it's got to look at those people sometimes and say, you know what, as long as they're not being like, I'm not talking about the drunk fools that are just like spilling beer on people. I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about they're living their best life. Those people are having fun, and I look at them as are they having fun? Are they having fun right now? Not at other people's expense? Yes. Then rock it on, man. It's hard to get to that spot. A lot of us can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap it up for us as far as the recorded show, and then we can stick around for any questions or anything that we may have. So that'll do it for us here. Again, Ryan and Joy holding it down for you. Allies Behind Enemy Lines. We're holding it down here in Texas for all of our Washington football team fans that are living thoroughly behind enemy lines here in Cowboys territory. Again, you can find us anywhere you find your podcast: Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on SoundCloud, all by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines. We're here on YouTube. Make sure you have that subscription button clicked, ring that notification bell. You can also find us again on Facebook, Allies Behind Enemy Lines Podcast, and on Twitter at AlliesBEL. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next week.